Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Protoss versus Protoss strategy. We're going to be looking at a mirror matchup. I've had a lot of people ask if I could post some more strategies on mirror matchups, so I'm going to try to be doing that within the next couple of days. So again, yeah, this is a Protoss versus Protoss. Basically what we're going to be looking at in this strategy is opting out of that early game warp gate research and instead going for just production out of 1 or 2 gateways and getting a fast robotics facility to get some immortals out. Now in this particular game our opponent is going to be going for a 4 warp gate zealot push. Basically he's going to be devoting all of his energy, all of his resources to getting those 4 warp gates worth of zealots producing really early on and trying to push towards our base with a mass amount of zealots. And what we're going to be using is that advantage of our range units when the stalkers and the immortals and some proper kiting to ward off that attack and to counterattack ourselves. So again, yeah, this is a Protoss versus Protoss strategy, and the players in this particular strategy replay, our green Protoss player is Night End, and his opponent here, the red Protoss, is Mausgeist. So yes, Protoss versus Protoss, and let me go over it one more time real quick. What we're going to be doing is dropping our gateway right here, of course, starting out with that. But what we're going to be doing is moving out with our probe, and we're going to be scouting the fact that our opponent is going for a pretty quick Cybernetics core, and also he's going to be going for a pretty quick upgrade to that warp gate research. And again, we're going to respond in turn by, instead of going for that warp gate research ourselves, skipping it in fact, and skipping out on our gateway production, just spending all of our resources to produce out of the 1 gateway that we have early on in the game, and then getting that robotics facility to get some immortals, which are going to do very strong early game versus that fast warp gate push. So starting off, looking at the build order here, we're going to be beginning with a 9 pylon, pretty standard, and we'll follow that up with a 13 gateway. And then of course we got our simulator as well. We're going to start saturating that, try to get our gas up, because we're going to need that for 2 possibilities. We're going to need that in case we went for that early Cybernetics core research, early warp gate research. In getting the stalkers out, we would need gas, but also once we do make that decision to go for that robotics facility, of course we're going to need a lot of gas for that. So we're just kind of preparing for all the possible avenues. So as you can see here, we do have our probe in our opponent's base, and we are getting this ever important scouting information, and we are seeing that we are in fact going to be looking at some warp gate research here. Seeing this research being done and seeing it being chrono boosted in, I'll tell you right now, there's no way in heck he's getting air level or air armor upgrades, and he certainly isn't likely to be getting hallucination upgrades, because that's not going to do a whole lot early on versus Protoss as well. So seeing this research being done out of here, seeing these little turny wheels moving around, and seeing that chrono boost in fact tells us that he is going for that warp gate research. So now we know what position we're going to be in, and this is where we're going to respond accordingly. Just sticking, of course, again with that one gateway production. And then we're going to be following up, now that we have our Cybernetics core finally out, we're going to be following up by getting our robotics facility down. Now our opponent does see this, of course. Not sure if, there we go, he does click on it, so he is aware that we are getting that robotics facility. But at that point he does decide that he's going to be going for this strong zealot push, but unfortunately what we have is going to be too much for him to handle. It's going to be with proper kiting, with proper micro, we're going to be able to basically maneuver around what he's throwing at us. So again, we're keeping our macro high and our minerals low by continuously producing out of this 1 gateway. And then again, once this robotics facility comes up, we are going to be getting some immortals out, dropping that second assimilator, because we are going to need a hefty amount of Vespian to produce this here, to keep the immortal production up. Taking another look back at our opponent's base, you do see he's getting prepared for that push here. Warp gate research is finished. He does have 4 warp gates at the moment, so he's going for that 4 gate zealot push. And also taking another look, you can see constantly working on that mineral gathering, because he's going to basically be devoting all of his energy, all of his resources towards pushing really strongly with these zealots. And so again, how we're going to respond to this is by having these immortals out and using these stalkers, basically trying to keep a distance between us and his zealots, using our own zealots effectively as meat shields, and with proper micro being able to thwart off this attack and then counterattack ourselves. So this is going to be a very strong build. It's going to be a very strong response versus that early game warp gate push. Those immortals can just do so strongly versus anything that they could have coming out of that. So as you can see, he's going to be trying to move up. We're going to be pushing down our zealots, creating that little wall, creating that meat shield, using the effectiveness of our ranged units to basically pick them off, and just continuously producing out of this one gateway. You really have to make sure that keep production out of this gateway constant, and of course you would also want to keep production out of this robotics facility constant. I think it was a little tied up at the moment, just trying to concentrate on this micro to stop this attack from being effective. Because you can get overwhelmed here. That amount of zealots this early in the game can be very overwhelming. Basically, you have to make sure you micro properly. You have to make sure you keep away and keep your units alive, because otherwise you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. So here we go. That second Immortal's coming out, and we do also have some more zealots coming in. We did drop that additional gateway, so we should be producing out of that shortly as well. And basically just want to move around. I mean, you can see how overwhelming this could be. He does have a lot of zealots in our base right now. You just want to move around, try to keep your units alive, try to make sure, even pull down your probes if necessary. Try to get a surround on them so you can use the range of your Immortals and your Stalkers to take those zealots out. He's been moving up, pushing with everything he's got, but I mean, if you take another look back at his base, this is kind of all in for him right now. He doesn't have much going on, not preparing for a tech switch at all. He's devoting everything he has to this push. And basically, once we fend it off, it's going to be game over. We're going to be able to push out ourselves and take him out very, very handedly. So he's moving forward again with these zealots, and this is going to be the last big push from him, really, because not too much else is going to be going on for him after this point. He, in fact, even stopped pro production for the most part, just to make sure that he could use all of his resources for this push. And we effectively were able to hold it off, coupled with our Immortals and just producing out of these gateways without Warp Gate. And yeah, there you go. I think a lot of players really feel like they have to jump to get in Warp Gate as fast as possible. And yes, it's very strong, but I mean, something to keep in mind is that if you're not going for Warp Gate, if you don't devote those resources, you can keep early on, you can keep constant production out of these gateways. And as long as you're able to fend off any sort of Warp Gate push like that, you should be able to move out and do very well yourself. Of course, you can transfer into getting that Warp Gate research, as we see is being done here. But early on, just keeping that production out of these gateways, you can definitely fend off these attacks as long as you have that higher tech in these Immortals here. So yeah, guys, it's just about kind of holding off that Zealot push, trying to stay alive, microing around, and opting out of going for that Warp Gate tech and instead trying to get those Immortals out. So taking another look at the build order here, we started off pretty basic with that 9 pylon. We followed that up with a 13 gateway. In moving into our opponent's base, we did see that the Warp Gate research was coming out of that Cybernetics core. It was being chrono boosted in. And again, instead of responding by trying to get the Warp Gate research out as well, what we did was we went ahead and dropped a robotics facility, used all of our resources to continuously produce out of this one gateway that we did have, and then again just got out some Immortals and fended off that rush the best we could, trying to keep some distance between your ranged units and the Zealots, and then also using your own Zealots as meat shields to kind of block them off and put some space in between the two units. And yeah, guys, that's basically it. So again, this has been Force StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. If you guys like our videos and you like what we're doing here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning, guys. Now, a key thing to note here, the Terran player does a pretty decent job building a bunker right here in the mineral line. Now, unfortunately, what he doesn't do is he's not able to stop the Zealots from taking out the supply depot, and what ends up happening is actually the Terran player gets below supply cap. So that's just something to note as a Protoss player while trying